Paratmanamekam jagadbijamadyam niriham nirakaramokaravedyam yato jayate palyate yena vishvam tamisham bhaje liyate yatra vishvam. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Dear devotees, the ninth chapter of the Gita started with Sri Krishna's statement that he will be presenting to us the supreme reality and its true nature, the supreme secret, Raja Vidya and Raja Guhya. And then, in the first 10 verses, we find Sri Krishna presenting to us the nature of the supreme reality. We have seen it. It's one of the finest presentations we have, where the truth is so brilliantly presented. Sri Krishna says, see, this Brahman, it is pervading everything. I'm just revisiting these ideas before going ahead. Sri Krishna said that this Brahman is pervading everything without coming into contact with anything, without coming in touch with anything. What does it mean? The second thing, the thing which Brahman is pervading, it is a mysterious thing. It is not actually a second thing. In ignorance, it appears to be a second thing. That's why Brahman pervades everything. Means what? It is pervading everything without coming into contact with anything. Number one, there is no contact, because contact implies two. Where there is no two, where is the contact? So Brahman's pervasion of everything, it means pervading everything without coming into contact with anything. Now this is also our true nature. You have to apply to yourself. We are like that. Number two, Krishna says the so-called everything, it is dwelling in Brahman. It is dwelling in Brahman means what? The so-called everything is deriving its reality from Brahman. Without Brahman, this so-called everything doesn't have any existence. Then, does it mean that Brahman is dwelling in everything? Everything is dwelling in Brahman, but Brahman is not dwelling in anything. Okay, in one sense, Krishna is saying everything is dwelling on Brahman. Then Krishna says, nothing is dwelling on Brahman. This is my supreme reality. This is my supreme nature. We can take, for example, Shankaracharya, in one of his masterpieces, he gives the example of a mirror and the reflection seen in the mirror. We all stand in front of the mirror, is it not? When a mirror is there, we see the reflection in the mirror. Now the question is the reflection seen in the mirror a second separate entity apart from the mirror? Now you can apply everything which Krishna is saying here with the help of this mirror and reflection illustration. That is just an illustration, okay? This mirror is pervading the entire reflection, is it not? In the mirror, you see the reflection. The mirror is completely pervading the reflection. Does it mean that the mirror is in touch with the second entity called reflection? Mirror alone is existing. Even when the reflection is there, mirror alone is existing. But in a very transactional sense, we can say that the mirror is pervading the entire reflection. And number two, this reflection is dwelling on the mirror. Can this reflection dwell without the mirror? The reflection is deriving its reality and essence from the mirror. Without the mirror, the reflection cannot even exist. Then, is the mirror dwelling in the reflection? Reflection is dwelling on the mirror. But is the mirror dwelling on the reflection? Mirror is not dwelling on the reflection. Last point. Sri Krishna had said, this reflection is dwelling on the mirror. At the same time, nothing is dwelling on the mirror. Even when the reflection is seen on the mirror, is the reflection really existing? What is really existing is mirror and mirror alone. This is Shankaracharya's brilliant Dakshinamurti Stotram, the first verse. Vishwam darpana drishyamana nagari tulyam nijantaragatam. Shankaracharya says. This so-called Jagat is just like reflection seen on a mirror. Now, what is the mirror? Brahman itself is a mirror in which this reflection of Jiva and Jagat is seen. I am repeating this point again. Brahman is that mirror. Shankaracharya's Bhashya there. It is Chid Darpanam. Darpanam is mirror. Darpanam means mirror. Now, what is the mirror? Chaitanya itself is the mirror. Chid Darpanam. This Atman itself is the mirror in which the reflection of Jiva and Jagat is visible. This Jiva and Jagat, is it a second, separate, distinct entity? No. Even when the so-called reflection of Jiva and Jagat is appearing on this Chid Darpanam or Atma Darpanam, even then Atman alone is existing. This is what Sri Krishna so beautifully presented in these three verses. Amazing presentation. The whole of Vedanta squeezed in 2 verses, which Shankaracharya so brilliantly sums up saying, Jiva Brahmaiva Naparaha Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. The idea that a second thing is existing is Mithya. The idea that a second thing separated from Brahman is existing, this is only based on avidya, this is only based upon ignorance. If we probe into it, we will understand that there is no second thing called Jiva and Jagat. If you probe into it, this Jiva and Jagat is seen to be nothing but Brahman and Brahman alone. If you probe into that reflection seen in the mirror, you will discover that that reflection is nothing but mirror and mirror alone. Nothing is existing apart from the mirror. Now, how is this mirror creating this reflection? That was also described in the following verses. Maya Adhyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam. In my Adhyakshata, in my presence, my own Maya is creating this so-called reflection of Jiva and Jagat. So this so-called Jiva and Jagat is the creation of Brahman itself through its own Maya. Brahman through its own Maya is creating this so-called mysterious thing called Jiva and Jagat. You take our Swapna Srishti, the dream experience. Where is the dream experience existing? It is all going on in the Atman itself, in our own true self. Atman itself, through its own Maya, is creating this entire dream Jagat, Swapna Srishti. The problem is, we fail to understand that presently also what we are experiencing, this is nothing but another dream which is going on. This is also Maya Srishti. There is no Vastavika Srishti. Srishti is always Maya Srishti. It is mysterious. It is just the expression of Maya, which is Brahman's own Shakti. This is the ultimate conclusion of Vedanta. That is what Krishna had said in the 10th verse, where he said, Maya Adhyakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam. Hetunanena kaunteya jagat viparivartate. This so-called jagat is viparivartate. It is produced by my own prakriti, by my own Maya Shakti. So we had seen till this point. Now Brahman through its own Maya is appearing in the form of this Jiva and Jagat. Here everything is Maya Srishti. Everything. Little while ago in the Ramnam Sankirtan, you might have heard, Goswami Tulsidas says in the initial introducing, before the real Sankirtanam starts, in the initial few verses, Goswami Tulsidas ji says that Yan Maya Vashavarti Vishwamakhilam Brahmadi Devasura Yat Satvad Amrshaiva Bhati Sakalam Rajau Yatha Her Brahmaha. Beautiful. See, everybody is saying the same thing. No teacher has ever told anything new. First come to this conclusion. 1,000 years later, 10,000 years later also, when another teacher will come, he will be telling the same thing. No teacher has ever told anything new. It is all the Siddhanta of the Vedas and the Upanishads. Goswami Tulsidas says so beautifully, Yan Maya Vashavarti Vishwamakhilam. This entire Vishwa Prapancha is Maya Vashavarti. Everything is under the clutches of this Maya Shakti. Because it is all the expression of Maya, and whatever is inside this Maya, everything is under her governance. And this Maya is always referred to as her, in feminine. It is Shakti. Everything is the play of Shakti here. Maya Shakti. So, Yan Maya Vashavarti Vishwamakhilam Brahmadi Devasura. Brahma, starting from Brahma. Brahma means Srishti Karta Brahma. Starting from Brahma down to all the Devas, Devatas, Devis, different deities, different forms, and down to Asuras and Rakshasas. Means all the noble characters as well as all the evil characters. They are all the creation of Maya now. Now we are touching upon a very important point here. In this Maya Srishti, Maya expresses itself in two forms. In the form of Dharma as well as in the form of Adharma. Rakshasas and Asuras are also the creation of Maya, and they are subject to Maya. And Devatas, Devis, goddesses, gods, they are all within the realm of Maya. No one is beyond Maya. A very important thing. And because of this Maya, that which is unreal appears to be real. See, it's our experience. For us, we see everything as if it is really existing. Yat Satvat Amrshaiva Bhati Sakalam. Sakalam Amrshaiva Bhati. Because of this Maya, everything appears to be real, whereas nothing is real in an absolute sense. That which is not absolutely real appears to be absolutely real because of Maya. We are all subject to this Maya Shakti. Now, this is the Maya Shakti in which good is also the creation of Maya and evil also is the creation of Maya. That's why we should handle evil the way it should be handled. I'm not going into that direction. Now, in this Maya Srishti, where everything has been created by Maya, so-called created by Maya, there comes a special expression of that supreme reality, which is known as Avatar. That is also Maya Srishti. That is Maya's Vidya. Maya has got two sides, Vidya and Avidya. One is the revealing power, other is the hiding power. It is that Maya's special power which manifests in the form of a special manifestation which we refer to as Avatar. The difference between Avatar and the so-called common Jiva is only one. We are all born in ignorance, totally subject to Maya. Avatara is born in full blazing knowledge. Though his body will be governed by the rules of Maya, but that Avatara himself is above Maya and Maya's governance. When I say the Avatara is above the Maya's governance, what I mean to say is that Avatara always knows its own true nature, that it is Brahman. We Jiva, we don't know. We are striving to know it. Avatara is the special manifestation of Brahman through its own power called Maya. And this manifestation comes with blazing knowledge. It is not in ignorance. It is not born as you and I are born in ignorance. We are all completely subject to the power of Maya. But Avatara's body will be obeying the rules of Maya. But in its consciousness, Avatara knows that it is Brahman and Brahman alone. It is free. It is born with blazing knowledge. All the great masters now you can see. This Rama Nama Sankirtanam, what is that? We are all worshipping that special manifestation of Brahman which took place through Maya. Krishna, special manifestation taking place through Maya. And all of them, Shankaracharya, Vivekananda, Sri Ramakrishna, these are all special manifestations coming for a special purpose. 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. In the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, this subject is first broached. We all know that famous utterance. What is that? Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srujamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge aham sambhavami. It is just like Brahman is saying, I manifest yuge yuge from time to time. I manifest through my own Maya for a certain purpose. You see, that itself it is so clear. In this Maya Srishti, there is dharma and adharma. And whenever dharma is overpowered by adharma, when adharma dominates and dharma is subjugated, in order to once again uplift dharma, Brahman manifests itself in a special manner through its own Maya for the sake of preservation of dharma. That is what is Avatar. And how does this manifestation take place? Again, 4th chapter, there itself. We have not studied the 4th chapter. When we will take it up, we will see in detail what Shankaracharya says there. But let me just mention that verse. Krishna says, Ajopi san avyayatma bhutanam ishvaropi san prakritim swam adhishthaya sambhavami atma mayaya. These are all eternal verses. How does this avatar come between you and me? Krishna says, Ajopi san, though Brahman is Ajam. Ajam means what? Unborn. It is beyond birth and death. Ajopi san, avyayatma. It is avyayam, immutable, unchanging reality called Brahman Atman. Ajopi san avyayatma, bhutanam ishvaro api. That Brahman is the Lord of everything here. This is the true nature of that supreme reality. Even when this is the case, then what? Ajopi san avyayatma, bhutanam ishvaropi san, prakritim swam adhishthaya. By adhisthana, by completely subjugating my own Maya, sambhavami atma mayaya. I appear, I descend. It is like Brahman is descending, coming down to the plane of Maya for a certain purpose. Sambhavami. I come down by my own Maya, Atma Mayaya, by completely subjugating my own Maya. This is the nature of the birth of an avatara. Avatara is born in blazing knowledge. You and I, we are born out of our own karma. Avatara is not born out of his karma. No, it is a special manifestation of Brahman taking place through its own Maya Shakti. This is so beautifully described in Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, and Shankaracharya's commentary is so beautiful there. Now the same subject is taken up here in the next verse. Now, verses from 11 to 15, that is what we are going to study today. These verses, they talk about two kinds of people now. Two kinds of people. One is people who are tell you who did. Those who don't have faith in a higher reality, or those who don't accept consciousness or God. And the other category of people are those who accept consciousness or God, those who accept the higher reality, those who have faith in a higher reality. Two kinds of people. You may say, one group of people, those who are pure materialist. We know, materialistic people, physical science. It's a very important. See, it's all so significant. You can see it in our own society even today. This was told when? We don't know. Ages ago. It's a universal problem, eternal problem. In this Maya Srishti, always you will find these two categories of people. One group will be pure materialist. Those who believe that matter alone is the truth and reality. Those who completely reject any higher reality. Those who reject consciousness. Now see, this is so significant. What are we teaching our children in schools and colleges? Only matter, 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 matter. That's why the present generation, you will see, they all have a doubt about existence of God. Present generation, especially Gen Z. We talk about Gen Z, you will see this Gen Z has got this problem. It is not their mistake. We have, actually speaking, totally removed this higher dimension of human personality from our educational curriculum. And we are paying the price for that. We are totally brainwashing them and hypnotizing them to believe that matter is the only reality. This is one category of people in whose mind this doubt comes, whether the higher reality is there. That's why they reject the idea of God. Not only they reject the idea of God, they even totally reject when God comes in a human form. Now that is what is the subject matter of the next verse. So beautiful, it is so relevant. The so-called materialist, Bhautikavadis, they reject the higher reality called consciousness. And not only they reject the higher reality called consciousness, they belittle, they deride, they insult when that higher reality, Brahman, comes in a human form. This is so natural to them. And in a way, why it happens, let us just look into it. It's a very important subject. It is. So two categories of people. One is those who don't have faith in the higher reality, and especially those who have a doubt or those who disrespect when Brahman comes in a human form. This is one category. And the other category is devotees. Those who have faith in the higher reality. Those who have devotion for the higher reality called consciousness or Ishvara in a certain form. And those who accept avatar. These are two categories of people. And you will see the consequences of having these two kinds of conviction. One is the people convinced only in matter as reality. And the other is those who are convinced, those who live with the conviction that there is a higher reality called Brahman, or in a certain form, Ishvara, doesn't matter. It's a beautiful verse. From here we'll start bhakti aspect now. First 10 verses, it was pure jnanam. The supreme jnanam, as Sri Krishna said, I am going to present to you the supreme reality. Now from here onwards, we'll start the beautiful episode of bhakti. Bhakti centered in God in a certain form. Beautiful. Let's see. So Krishna says here, you see, this Brahman which we were introduced to in the first 10 verses, the Brahman which is Sarvadhyaksha. Sarvadhyaksha means which is the witness or which is the self of all, that Brahman, which is Sarva Bhutadivasa. This Brahman which is Sarva Bhutadivasa means the Brahman which is the self of all, which is residing inside everybody. Brahman or Atman is that reality which is existing inside everybody. Sarva Bhutadivasaha and Sarvadhyaksha. And which is Nitya, Buddha, Shuddha, Mukta Subhava. Shankaracharya says, this Brahman which is eternal, which is pure, which is free, and which is consciousness. This Brahman, now, this being the case, Why is that people don't worship this reality? The reason why people don't worship this reality, the supreme reality, the reason is what? That is what is given in the next verse. Krishna says, Avajananti mam mudha manushim tanumashritam param bhavamajananto mama bhutamaheshwaram. Krishna is saying, Mama param bhavam ajananto. Why do these people don't worship me, Brahman? Why? Why do these people, those who vouch for materialism, our children, those who are brainwashed, or we should say those who have been hypnotized to think that matter is the only reality, for them this devotion for a higher reality doesn't come. This is the problem of our young generation. You all know that. Our young children today, somewhere they miss, because they have been so much hypnotized into thinking only about matter, matter, matter. Sri Ramakrishna says, when you constantly think about jadam, you will become jadam. Jadam means matter. When you're constantly thinking about matter, 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 you become like matter. And when you constantly think about Chaitanyam, you will realize Chaitanyam. Simple thing. Where your mind is hanging on, you become that. If your mind is drowned in matter, you become that like that. And when this mind is focused on Chaitanyam, it will be realizing Chaitanyam. So here says, Krishna says, Mama param bhava majananto. Not knowing my true and the supreme nature. These people, they don't know my supreme nature. And what is my supreme nature? Bhuta Maheshwaram. I who am the Lord of every living creature here. Bhuta Maheshwaram. So the main cause is what? Ignorance. Not knowing. Not knowing the true nature of the supreme reality. You call it Bhagavan, Ishvara, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Because of this not knowing, what happens? Mudha. Mudha means these deluded people, totally drowned in ignorance, considering matter alone to be the true only reality. Those who believe that body is the only reality. Those who see only through the senses and believe that whatever senses reveal, that alone is the reality. That is the meaning of mudha, aviveki. Those who lack viveka. These mudhas, what do? Avajananti. They insult. They belittle. They deride. They disrespect. They disrespect whom? Manushim tanumashrutam mam. They disrespect mam. They disrespect, they insult me when I come down taking a human form. When I begin to act through a human framework. Shankar Bhashya. Beautiful. When this Brahman begins to act, when it comes down and when it begins to act in and through a human framework, avatara. Beautiful. At that time, these mudhas, these deluded people, those who don't have faith in a higher reality, those who believe matter alone to be the reality, those who think that body alone is the ultimate thing, and those who believe that whatever senses are revealing, that alone is the truth, such mudhas, such avivekis, they belittle, they insult, they deride, they deal with this person disrespectfully. The person is what? He's not an ordinary person. He's a Brahman. Brahman's special manifestation called Avatar. So, why does this so-called, these people, they behave in this manner? You see, this is a very common thing. All the avatars have gone through this experience. Whether it is Rama, how many people could recognize Rama when he came, when Brahman came in the form of Rama? Just now we chanted, Shuddha Brahma Paratpara Ram. Is it not? It's so beautiful. It is Shuddha Brahman, nothing else. There is nothing apart from Brahman. This one point should be very clear. It is all Brahman. You are also Brahman. Bhagavan Ram is also Brahman. But that is a special manifestation of Brahman. coming for a certain purpose. You are also Brahman. Sri Krishna is also Brahman. Essentially, there is no difference. But that is a special manifestation. We are all in ignorance. That is blazingly illumined. So these special manifestations, you see, how many people could understand who Bhagavan Ram is? How many people could understand who Sri Krishna is? Everybody considered Sri Krishna to be a cowherd boy. No one took him seriously. In fact, throughout his life, you will see how many accusations against him and what all troubles Bhagavan Ram went through. And all these so-called incarnations, Ramakrishna's life, how many people could understand that he is a special manifestation? In fact, he was called as a mad person in Dakshineshwar. Who can understand their behavior? The common jiva is totally in darkness. What can they understand the behavioral pattern of these special manifestations? It is incomprehensible. We can't even imagine. We can't understand their behavior. That's why you see Sri Ramakrishna was stamped to be a mad Brahmin in Dakshineshwar. How many people understood him? Now see, why this happens? Viparyasta buddhi. In Anandgiri Shankaracharya, Anandgiri Tika, he says, this is happening owing to the buddhi being possessed with the defect of viparyasa. Viparyasa means doubt and lack of faith. When our buddhi is possessed with the defect of lack of faith and doubt, then this happens. We doubt. We can't believe that Brahman, that supreme reality, can come in a human form. Now see, it's a very interesting thing. Such a gigantic soul like Narendranath, even he had a doubt about this special manifestation called Sri Ramakrishna. What to talk about you and me? Where do we stand? Today we are worshipping them. If we were present in Dakshineshwar, even we would have called Ramakrishna as a mad Brahmin. 100%. Today, sitting here in retrospect, because Swami Vivekananda has spoken about Sri Ramakrishna, everybody has been speaking about Sri Ramakrishna, so we have developed some conviction and some devotion. If we were present in somewhere in, say, 1880s in Dakshineshwar, definitely we would have belonged to that camp which stands Sri Ramakrishna to be a mad Brahmin. It is not that easy. Today, after studying all the books and we belong, now we have subscribed to this certain bhavadhara and we are believing in it. If we were present during Sri Ramakrishna's time, definitely 99% of us, we would have belonged to that category who doesn't believe in it. It is difficult. It's not very easy to recognize an avatar during his lifetime. It's very difficult. So that is what Krishna is saying here. Avajananti. Avajananti means nindanti. Insulting this special manifestation when it comes. It's not that easy. Even Narendranath doubted. Till the end, in Kashipur, he says, Sri Ramakrishna is lying on his bed the last few days. And he's saying, even in this moment, if he says that he is a special manifestation, I will accept it. Before that, he didn't accept it. He didn't accept Sri Ramakrishna as a special manifestation. No. See, because he was so rational, not sentimental. He wanted, that's something beautiful, that rational conviction should come. And rational conviction, when it comes, it becomes immovable. Not just superficial sentimentalism. That sentimentalism is good. It will be of some use, maybe. But truly speaking, that is shaky. But a conviction which comes from tremendous probing, that is different. That is unshakable. So Narendranath was like that. He was not a so-called superficially sentimental kind of a person. His all is coming from profound conviction about what is existing. So in the fag end of Sri Ramakrishna's life, we find this beautiful episode. So here, that is what Krishna is referring to. Avajananti. These deluded people, they disrespect, they speak, they deal with the special manifestation in unfound manners. And why it is happening? Because of viparyasta buddhi, because of lack of faith and because of doubt. So manushim tanumashritam, when the Brahman comes, takes a human form, or when the Brahman acts through a human framework. Here one point should be mentioned here before I go ahead. When Brahman comes down in a human framework, means the special manifestation, it is very different from you and me. In the sense what? See, we are totally identified with this body-mind complex. You and we all have an unquestioned and inexplicable identification, natural, instinctual identification with this body-mind complex. But in case of these avatars, they don't have identification with the body-mind complex. Brahman is acting through the body-mind complex without having identification with it. Once again, I repeat this point. Brahman is acting in and through this human framework without having identification with that human framework. That is the characteristic, the defining, distinguishing characteristic of an avatar. When avatar, Brahman, comes in a human framework, acting through the human framework, it is doing everything going on without any identification with the human framework. In your case, in my case, we are completely identified with the human framework. That is why we are struggling to come out of this captivity. Avatar, the special manifestation, is already free. It is born free. It is coming. It is descending to our plane to uplift you and me. Brahman is descending so that we can ascend. That is the principle. Brahman is descending through its own Maya. It is coming down to our plane so that we can ascend to the plane of Brahman. It's the beautiful process of avatar. Brahman is coming down to help us so that we can rise. That is what is the main purpose of the advent of an avatar. So here, Sri Krishna is saying beautifully, Avajananti mam mudha. These foolish people, they deride me, they belittle me. When I come down in a human framework, and why this is happening? It is happening because mama param bhavam ajananto, not knowing my true nature, the true nature which was discussed in the first 10 verses. The true nature which was discussed in the first 10 verses. Not knowing my true nature, they belittle me, they insult me, they deride me. That is what is the fact. So this is one group of people who have no faith in the higher reality, or those who insult when Brahman comes down in a human form. Now such people, what happens? Now these people, when they deride, when they disrespectfully handle the special manifestation of Brahman, they have to pay the price for that. Shankaracharya uses a very strong word. They become like a wretch. They become pitiable, and that become they begin to ruin themselves. Shankaracharya says they get into the path of self-ruination. Just imagine, when you are rejecting the higher reality, you call it Bhagavan, Ishvara, Brahman, Atman, doesn't matter. When you reject consciousness, naturally we are on the path of self-ruination. We become wretched. Shaucha. Shankaracharya says, Shaucha means virakahate. Virakahate means they become wretched. They set themselves on the path of self-ruination. And how do they ruin themselves? That is what is given in the next verse. Simple thing. The logic is that when you reject consciousness, what will happen? When we drown ourselves only in matter, that is a perfect doorway to self-ruination. If you leave aside God, what else is remaining in this world? Tell me. If we only hold on to this body and the senses and what the senses are revealing, what is going to be the consequence of that? It is ruination. It is all darkness. That is what is mentioned in the next verse. Beautiful. Krishna is saying, so how do these people get ruined? These people, these deluded people who reject the higher reality, especially that reality when it comes in a human form, when that higher reality is rejected or it is belittled or when it is ignored, and when you drown yourself only in matter and matter, they ruin themselves. How do they ruin themselves? See, Moghasha mogha karmano mogha jnana vicetasaha rakshasim masurim chaiva prakritim mohinim shritaha. Beautiful. How do these people get ruined? How do they become wretched? See, just imagine, again the main principle is what? Ignoring the higher reality called consciousness, drowning only in matter. That is the point. When you drown yourself only matter, materialist, modern atheists, no, we don't believe in any God. We take pride in that. We don't believe in God. Science, physical science, science only is the physical science is the only thing. No higher science, no science of consciousness. When you take matter alone as the reality and you bury yourself in this so-called material plane, you are setting yourself on the path of ruination. How? Moghasha. All your so-called desires will prove to be vain. Means your desires are never going to be fulfilled. Number one, mogha asha. Your hopes will be all in vain. Your desires will be in vain. It will never find fruition. Moghasha. Mogha karmano. Your actions will be in vain. Mogha means vain. Mogha means vain. Mogha means fruitless, which does not bear fruit. All your karma, all the actions which we do in our life, just imagine, materialists, no reference to higher reality. Whatever they do, they will all, the fruit of that is all destructible. It will be all in vain only. Through actions, whatever you get, tell me, are you going to get something which is permanent? Through your karma, the karma phala which is you're getting, all these so-called things which karma creates, it all belongs to the plane of transient plane, destructive plane. It is all fruitlessness. It will be all in vain. So your actions become fruitless. Your desires, your hopes become vain and fruitless. Mogha jnana. Your knowledge is fruitless. It will become fruitless. The knowledge of only matter is going to give you fruits which will be actually fruitless. They are all in vain. Mogha jnana. And vicetasaha. Vicetasa means lack of viveka, absence of viveka. The person loses viveka, is it not? A person who is only holding on to matter, there is no viveka in that. Because viveka means what? The clear distinction between matter and consciousness. Viveka means what? A clear-cut distinction between matter and consciousness. But when you don't even accept consciousness, there is no question of viveka. Then you are completely drowned in matter and matter alone. You become senseless. Vicetasa literally means senseless. You lose your real sense of higher reality. We become senseless. Senseless means what? You lose your sense of the higher reality and you're drowned in that which is false. And when you're drowned in that which is false, the consequence is nothing but ruination. So your hopes, your desires are in vain. Your actions are in vain. It is fruitless. Your knowledge, so-called all the empirical knowledge, tell me. Now, all. This is what Sri Ramakrishna, just look into Sri Ramakrishna's life. He is saying, what shall I do with this empirical knowledge? He calls this so-called empirical knowledge so beautifully. He says, bread-winning knowledge. Is it not? Bread-winning education. Bread and butter-winning education. What shall I do with this? It is actually speaking fruitless. How true it is. Look into our young generation today. With all this so-called empirical knowledge at their disposal, they are totally in darkness. Is this not a fact? They are confused, they are depressed, they are morose, they are aimless, they are purposeless, committing suicides, going into all kinds of addiction. What is this jnana? The jnana of the empirical plane going to do us? Is it giving us the true fruit of true human well-being? It cannot be. So all the karmas become fruitless, all the jnana becomes fruitless, all knowledge becomes fruitless. When you have rejected the higher reality, then everything will turn out to be fruitless and vain. Mogha, mogha, mogha. Mogha means vain, fruitless. Your actions turn out to be vain. Your knowledge of the empirical plane turns out to be fruitless and vain. Your desires are always going to remain unfulfilled. It will be all in vain. Moghasha, Moga Karmano, Moga Jnana, and Vichetasaha, devoid of Viveka. Now, this is the case. Then what? After this birth, in the next birth, you will be attaining lower yonis. Lower yonis means lower wombs. You will be born in lower wombs as lower creatures with Rakshasa Prakriti and Asuri Prakriti. Now, this is discussed in the 16th chapter so beautifully. Daivi Sampat and Asuri Sampat, the two natures. One is demonic nature, other is divine nature. So these people who reject higher reality and only stick to matter, when they are born again in another body, they will be born in a body which is full of the so-called demonic nature. Rakshasim asurim chaiva prakritim mohinim shrutaha. They will be possessed by Asuri, Rakshasi and Asuri nature. This Rakshasi and Asuri, usually we use these two terms in a very synonymous manner, Rakshasi and Asuri. Rakshas and Asura, we usually use it in a very same manner, interchangeably. But there is a slight difference in the nuances. Shankaracharya in his Bhashya says, Rakshasi refers to those people, now see, it's so beautiful. You can say that our society is full of such Rakshasas. You can see that. So what is Rakshasa? Rakshasa is those people, those who are fond of killing, shedding blood, cutting, brutality, Rakshasa Pravritti. Any number, you see, in society. I don't have to point out. They are given to violence, killing others, cutting others' head, throat, shedding blood, Rakshasas. Asuri means what? Asuri means people who are fond of stealing others' wealth, Shankaracharya says. Rakshasi Pravritti and Asuri Pravritti. Rakshasi is brutal, more physical, killing, butchering, shedding blood. They enjoy that. And this Asuri means those who are fond of stealing others' wealth. This is the nature. When you become too much materialistic, when you are too much drowned in the body and the senses alone, then this will be the nature. This will be the consequence. So these people will be born in such so-called bodies governed by Asuri Prakriti and Rakshasi Prakriti. And completely Mohinim Shritaha, completely overpowered by delusion, delusive nature. Now this is the consequence of people who completely, who belittle, deride, are disrespectful to that Brahman which is coming in a human form. In short, those who reject the higher reality and those who only bury in the so-called matter and matter alone. This is the consequence of that. Now, next 3 verses, Sri Krishna talks about those wonderful people who have faith in the higher reality. Those who have faith in Avatar, those who have faith in this special manifestation. How are they? Beautiful. We shall just touch upon these 3 verses. Krishna says, he says, Mahatmanastu mam partha daivim prakritimashritah bhajantyananya manaso gyatva bhutadimavyayam. Beautiful. The first 2 verses which we discussed today, they are who are totally deluded, those who reject the higher reality, especially when Brahman is appearing in a human form. And the consequences of that we have seen. Means those who are purely materialistic in their attitude, we may say in a modern terminology, we can say those who are purely materialist. Those who only believe in the so-called apara prakriti, those who have rejected the para prakriti. You can take it in that way. Those who are totally drowned in apara prakriti. The consequence of that is what we have seen in the last 2 verses. No, Mahatmanastu. Those who are Mahan, Mahatma. Mahatma means what? Shankaracharya says, Akshudra Chittaha. Akshudra Chitta means those noble people, those who are not small-minded, great-minded. Great-minded, what is a great mind? A mind becomes great when it accepts the para prakriti. By apara prakriti, nobody can become great. A mind becomes great when it accepts, when it welcomes, when it becomes sensitive, when it begins to reflect the existence of the higher reality. Then it moves towards greatness. Mahatma. Beautiful. Akshudra Chitta. Those are not small-minded. And how does a mind become great? By reflecting the presence of a higher reality called consciousness or God in a certain form. When we subscribe to this so-called, this view of the presence of a higher reality, the mind is already on the path of a huge, a limitless growth. A growth which has got no end. Actually speaking, the mind growing in the direction of consciousness has got no limit to it. How far? How Mahan you can become? There is no end to it. It is limitless. Akshudra Chitta. So beautiful. So these Mahatmas who have the faith and devotion, Mahatmanastu mam partha, Daivim Prakriti Mashrita. Those who are possessed by Daivi Prakriti. Daivi Prakriti means divine qualities. And what are the divine qualities? Shankaracharya says in his Bhashya, divine qualities like Shama, Dama, Shraddha, Daya, etc. Asuri Prakriti we have seen, killing, butchering, shedding blood, and so and so. And here it's just the opposite. Shama, Dhamma, Uparati. You can take the Shat Sampatti. The Shat Sampatti which we study in Vedanta, there are the six beautiful virtues which go into the making of a packet of virtues, which is referred to as Shama, Dhamma, Uparati, Titiksha, Shraddha and Samadhana. So these are all divine qualities. So Krishna says that these people who are possessed by these wonderful, beautiful divine qualities, they are all Mahatmas. And how do these people worship? These people worship in what way? Bhajanti ananya manaso. They worship me. Ananya manaso. Ananya manaso means in a one-pointed manner. They worship me in a one-pointed manner, not multi-pointed. They know there is only one. They know that there is a supreme reality which is one without a second. There is no second thing apart from that. So their mind is completely one-pointed, not multi-pointed. Beautiful. Ananya manasa. Ananya manasa. The mind does not go to anything apart from that. Again I repeat, it's a beautiful term. Ananya. We all have to become ananya manasa. Ananya manasa means the mind has got no second thing to hold on to apart from God. Mind has got no second thing apart from God to hold on to. This is what is ananya manasaha. It is constantly resting on that supreme reality called God. So beautiful. So if you ask what is our sadhana is to become what? Ananya manasaha. The mind which is constantly resting on that one reality, God and God alone. So beautiful. Bhajanti ananya manaso gyatva bhutadim avyayam. But see, if you have to worship God in this one-pointed manner, you should first know the supreme reality. Shankaracharya says, Sri Krishna is saying here, gyatva. Gyatva means after having known the true nature of the supreme reality. Otherwise, our worship of the so-called that reality may be misdirected or it may not be that much effective. If our worship of the supreme reality has to be effective, we have to first understand the supreme reality the way we have to understand it. And that right kind of understanding comes from Guru and the Shastras. You see, this is a very important point. Otherwise, we may imagine God in so many forms. Imagination is imagination. You can have it, doesn't matter. But still, imaginary idea of God is better than having no faith in God. Again, see, these are all different levels in which we are growing. To have imaginary idea of God is far, far superior and better than being a materialist, an atheist. At least this person has got faith in something higher. But higher than that is to grasp the reality as it is. And that perfect grasping, comprehension of the supreme reality comes through Shastra and the Guru. Gyatva bhutadim avyayam. When you know that supreme reality as avyayam, avyayam means immutable, unchangeable, and which is bhutadi. Bhutadi means which is the very source of everything. When you know the supreme reality and its true nature as the source of everything and as immutable, then you will be able to fix your mind on it and adore it, worship it in a proper manner. So this is the characteristic of these people who have faith in a higher reality, and they are all so-called possessed with bhakti, devotion. Now from here the devotion starts. Beautiful. Now till the end of the 9th chapter you will find it's beautiful bhakti now. Devotion for the supreme reality in a certain form. Beautiful. They're coming to that point. Bhajanti ananya manaso gyatva bhutadim avyayam. And how do they worship? I think we can take for 5 more minutes. Next 2 verses also we can take it up. So that section will be over. So how do these people, these wonderful people, these devotees who have faith in a higher reality, how do they worship? Sri Krishna says, Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridhavrataha namasyantascha mam bhaktya nityayukta upasate. Satatam kirtayanto. Kirtayanto. Kirtanam. Ram Nama Sankirtanam. Kirtanam. Just now we did it. Sankirtanam. What is Kirtanam? Kirtanam comes from the word Kirti. Kirti means glory. Glorifying. Glorifying that supreme reality. Glorifying Paraprakriti. Glorifying consciousness. Without consciousness, where do we stand? Without the mirror, what is the reflection? Without the mirror, what is the reflection? Glorifying the mirror which is the Brahman. Without the screen, what is the movie? Glorification of the screen. Atman. That is what is Kirtanam. So Shankaracharya, according to Shankaracharya, Satatam Kirtanam. Kirtayanto. Kirtayanto means glorifying. How do we? The best way of glorifying is what? Shankaracharya says, Vedanta Shravanam. Constantly, Vedanta Shravanam means what? Upanishad Shravanam. Now tell me, which book glorifies Brahman more than Upanishads? Everything, all of the books are just reflections of Upanishads, is it not? Which books tells us the most blazing manner about the Brahman? Upanishads alone. Vedanta means Upanishads. So Vedanta Shravanam, constantly reflecting upon the words of the Upanishads itself is Kirtanam. So beautiful. Vedanta Shravanam is what is Kirtanam. Glorifying the supreme reality. Satatam. So constantly this Vedanta Shravanam should go on. The constant thinking and ruminating, contemplating about the supreme reality called Brahman should go on. Satatam. Unceasingly. And yatantascha dridhavrataha. And they are all striving. Striving through what? Striving through sadhana chatushtaya. These devotees, they are constantly, they are doing Vedanta Shravanam, or they are thinking about, now Vedanta Shravanam from the Jnana standpoint, it is the so-called Jnana Margis, Upanishad Shravanam. But in that is included all the devotional songs, stotras, everything is included. Okay, but if you just go to the core of it, what? It is all remembering of Brahman, which is best done through the Upanishads. But those who find Upanishads to be slightly difficult to handle, then everything comes. Bhajans comes. Wonderful, beautiful bhajans which we sing. That is all within the meaning of Kirtanam, glorifying the supreme reality. So Satatam Kirtayanto Mam and Yatantascha Dridhavata, and they are all striving with firm resolve, striving through the practice of Sadhana Chatushtaya. Sadhana Chatushtaya is what? Viveka, Vairagya, Shamadamadi, Shat Sampatti, and Mumukshutvam. They are striving in and through all those things. And Dridhavrataha, of firm resolve to experience Brahman. They are firmly resolved to experience Brahman. Namasyantaschamam bhaktya nityayukta. And they are constantly bowing down, namasyantascha, paying obeisance. Mentally they are bowing down and they are always possessed with the bhava of bhakti. Nitya yukta bhaktya. They are possessed by the spirit of bhakti, always. Upasate. So these bhaktas, their bhakti bhava, which is constantly existing in them, they are constantly doing kirtanam, means Vedanta Shravanam, or thinking about the Supreme Reality through all the different means. Vedanta Shravanam is the best means. It's constantly meditating upon the words of the Upanishads. And they are yatantascha, striving, and dridhavritaha, of firm resolve. Firm resolve for what? To experience the Supreme Reality. They are resolved. That is the main purpose of human life. That resolution should be there. The purpose of human life is to experience the Supreme Reality. In this way, these bhaktas, they spend their time. In the last verse. Now, the verse number 14 spoke about how these bhaktas, they worship the Supreme Reality. Now, this next verse is beautiful. The different ways of worshipping the Supreme Reality. Let us just touch upon this and we'll finish it off. Now, what are the different ways of worshipping the Supreme Reality? Sri Krishna says, Jnana yagyena chapyanye yajanto mam upasate ekatvena pratatvena bahutha vishvato mukham. Beautiful. Now see, now we are talking about worshipping the Supreme Reality. Okay. The worship of the Supreme Reality can be done in three ways, Krishna says. Three, in a very, briefly, Krishna is talking about this worship of the Supreme Reality, but this three actually includes any number of ways. What is it? So beautiful. This is what actually Sri Ramakrishna was talking in his Upadesha also. All the great teachers have spoken the same thing. See what Krishna is saying. How many ways of worshipping the divine? Jnana yagyena anye yajanto mam upasate. Anye. There are these devotees, they give up all the different forms of worshipping of God and they hold on to one. See, there are different, we are talking about one way of worshipping. Now we are referring to one group of people who worship God in a one particular way, keeping aside all other forms of worship. What is their method of worshipping God? Jnana yagyena ekatvena. Ekatvena jnana yagyena. Very important. Jnana yagya is a beautiful term. Yagya means what? Sacrifice. We do yagya, no? Here, jnanam itself is yagya. Jnana itself is sacrifice. Jnana, what kind of a jnana? Ekatva jnana. The knowledge of non-dual Brahman. Ekatva jnana yagyena means this yagya, this sacrifice, which is nothing but the knowledge of non-dual Brahman, means the jnana margis. The jnana margis, those who are having Brahma nishtha or Advaita nishtha. I'm talking about nishtha. They have not experienced the reality, but they have strong conviction about the existence of the non-dual reality. That knowledge itself is sacrifice. That knowledge itself is yagyam. Means that non-dual drishti. In short, Sri Ramakrishna's words, Advaita Gyan Achale Bendhe. Tie the knowledge of Advaita to the corner of your cloth. This Jnana, Drishti or Nishtha, Brahma Nishtha or Advaita Nishtha. This is one way of worshipping the Supreme. What beautiful. Then, another way of, this is the Jnana Margi's way, where he sees only one reality. He is of the conviction that Brahman alone is existing. Absolutely, that is his vision. A vision which is a blessing coming from Upanishad and the Guru. It has to come only from the Upanishads and the Guru. It's very important. Then, second way of worshipping is what? Prathatvena. The first was the non-dual way of adoring or worshipping the Supreme Reality. The second is Prathatvena, where you create a distance between you and God. In the first, there is no distance between you and God. In the second, you create a distance between you and God. Prithatvena. Prithaktva means, here it is Bheda Darshanam. The first one is Abheda Darshanam. Abheda Darshanam means what? Where there is no Bheda Drishti, you and that supreme reality, you are convinced that we are one. There is no distance between me and God. Prithaktva means what? You create a distance and then worship. So beautiful. So best way to understand this is, Ekatva Darshanam, Abheda Darshanam. It will express itself in the form of what? Shivoham. And Prithaktva means Bheda Darshanam, where you separate yourself from God, you see God separated from you, and then you worship that God. Then what will be your attitude? In that, your attitude will not be Shivoham, your attitude will be Dasoham. Beautiful. One is Shivoham, other is Dasoham. I am the Dasa. He is the master. Beautiful. Ekatvena, Prithaktva. Two attitude. Now see, both the attitudes are equally efficacious to take us and make us experience the higher reality. Equally efficacious. But one difference definitely it is there. If somebody captures the Shivoham attitude perfectly, the way it should be captured, then the results are instant. That is what Upanishads talk about. It is ihaiva. Here itself you will begin to experience freedom from fear, freedom from all insecurities, freedom from bondage. Everything is experienced here itself. If any person succeeds in capturing the Shivoham the way it should be captured. See, I am using the term very carefully. The way you are, not just intellectually. The Shivoham is not a joke. You are touching the sky now. Beautiful. But if anyone succeeds in doing that the way he or she should be doing it, the result is immediate. Yourself. Dasoham attitude is also equally efficacious, but the result of that is slow and gradual. That also will take us to the ultimate portals of liberation, but it happens slowly and gradually. So both these attitudes of Shivoham and Dasoham, they are equally efficacious to take us to the ultimate experience of mukti. One happens immediately, other happens slowly and gradually and in stages. Beautiful. I'm not saying one is superior or inferior. In fact, there is nothing called superior and inferior. We have to take up that for which we are fit. If you are fit for Dasoham attitude, take it up. But even when you are practicing Dasoham, ultimately you should know that everything is Brahman and Brahman alone. And if you think that, yes, Shivoham works for me better, hold on to Shivoham. Beautiful. It actually, what matters is what actually works for us. It's like that. So anyway, Ekatvena, Prithaktva, and the third way is Bahudha Vishwato Mukham. So the three ways here Krishna is talking about to connect with the ultimate reality. One is that Advaitic non-dual vision of Ekatva, means Abheda Darshanam. Second is Prithaktva, in which you separate yourself from the supreme reality and you see that supreme reality manifested in one or the other form. Shankaracharya says, the same Vishnu in the form of sun, same Vishnu in the form of, say, something else, Vishnu in different forms. This is what is so-called Bhakti Sadhana. We see God in certain form. Beautiful. Prithaktva. And the third one is what? Bahudha Vishwato Mukham. Vishwato Mukham means it is worship of the Virat, the cosmic person, Shankaracharya says. Vishwato Mukham means that supreme reality whose face is everywhere, multi-faced. Vishwato Mukham. Mukham means face. His face is everywhere. That worship of the Virat, the cosmic person. This is the third way. So in this verse, it's so beautiful. Krishna is talking about three ways of connecting with the higher reality. So beautiful. One is Abheda Drishti. Second is Bheda Drishti. Abheda Drishti will express itself in the form of Shivoham. Bheda Drishti will express itself in the form of Dasoham. And the third one is also a kind of Jnana Yagya. Actually, Krishna, according to Shankaracharya's Bhashya there, he says this Ekatva Drishti, Abheda Drishti is meant for Uttam Adhikari. the best, so-called, those who are very much competent to take up the higher standpoint. Those who are Madhyama Adhikari, for them is the second and the third attitudes of Prathatvena and Vishwatomukham. Means separating yourself from God and taking the attitude of being a servant, a dasa, and so on. Now you see, no matter which bhava you hold on to, all of them take us to the same reality. Joto mot, toto pot. All the different ways, whether you hold on to this bhava, everything will take you to the same reality. What Sri Ramakrishna telling anything new? These are all the principles of the Vedas we should understand. There's no teaching of Sri Ramakrishna, which many people, they keep on saying this is a new teaching. I really don't understand what is new teaching. It is the same teaching of the Vedas. Ekam sat vipra baudha vadanti, truth is one. It is being addressed in so many ways. Sri Krishna in so many ways, in the Bhagavad Gita itself. Ye yathamam prapadyante tams tathaiva bhajamyaham. Mama vartmanu vartante manushya partha sarvasha. So many beautiful words. And here also, three ways Krishna is talking about, connecting with the divine. One is the non-dual way, ekatvena jnana yagyena. Second is prathatvena, you create a gap between yourself and God. And the third is vishwatomukham, being adoring the cosmic being, the Virat Purusha. In this way, in these verses, today what we have studied, in just 2 minutes, I'll just wind it up. Sri Krishna was talking about two kinds of people. In the first 10 verses, Krishna presented the supreme reality. Now, one group of people rejecting the supreme reality. That is what we saw in the first 2 verses here in today's class. They reject the supreme reality, they make fun of it, they belittle it, and we have seen the consequences of that. They are born in lower yonis or lower wombs, completely possessed by demonic nature. And the other group is those who have tremendous faith in the higher reality, those who have faith in Paraprakriti, and those who love that Paraprakriti. They are endowed with Bhakti Bhava, and they know knowledge and Bhakti go hand in hand. It is Jnana Mishra Bhakti, Bhakti which has got Jnanam as a base. And they worship the supreme reality in so-called 3 ways here Krishna is talking about. One is the non-dual way, other is the way in which you create a distance between yourself and God, and the third one is that Vishwatomukham, worshipping the cosmic person. So beautiful. So in the next verses now, Krishna will be. Now from here starts all bhakti now. First 10 verses of the 9th chapter is full of supreme jnanam. Based upon that jnanam, now comes beautiful, simple practices of bhakti, which anybody can practice. We shall stop here. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat.